Here, just wanted to showcase the Nightblade tank that I have been working on. I have been using it in the Veteran Halls of Fabrication and Veteran Halls of Fabrication hard mode, Sunspire HMs, as well as among a few Cloud Restaurants I've tried it in so far. I just want to showcase it so that way you can kind of get an idea of the build itself. The nice thing about the build is it is going to be very different in terms of how it plays. It's going to play into a lot of its strengths, be a little bit of a different build for you guys, so I hope you guys do enjoy that for today's event. So let's go and start off with the stats. Our stats, without any additional buffs, we are sitting at 18.1k Magico, a 674 recovery, 37.2k health with 717 recovery, 29.2k stamina with 643 stamina recovery. We are also sitting at a base weapon damage of 2.4k with a 28.4k base critical rating, which can go up to 40% with our buffs. We are also sitting at 26.8k physical and spell resistance, which when buffed we do reach the caps on, so we're good there. We're running 30 points into health, 34 points into stamina. We are a vampire on this build, stage 4. It's the first tank in a very long time that I've actually used as a vampire. We are using the Lord Mundus and Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Key things to know about their abilities: we are running Pierce Armor on our first skill, just mainly because with our minor protection coming from our Dark Cloak, we are wanting to use this to get our Major Breach and Major Fracture. Just might as well do an additional thing in that front. We're also using Power Extraction for the 200 weapon and spell damage reduction. It's not 200 for me because I have to rank it up a little bit, but it also gives us Major Brutality as well as Major Sorcery on top of that. It does really good AoE damage, with this build can optimize itself in. We have our Dark Cloak for a 2.5k base heal, which can, with our buffs, get upwards of 5k when you're fully buffed. Our Vigor Tooltip, which is our main source of healing, is Vigor and Dark Cloak. We can get this upwards of 15k when we're buffed. So those two heals together can produce, along with our Refreshing Path, which we have on our back bar, we can reach upwards of 12k HPS when we're critting, which is amazing. We're also running Dark Shade for the AoE minor mayhem, so that way we can get a lot of debuffs going on there. Our Power Extraction is our flex spot, as it's only an 8% cost, max magicka increase. We're running Incapacitating Strike, which will go into more of how it's played later on, but the nice thing about it is it's mainly here because of its final passive. So you gain Reeve when it's slotted for 100 magicka and stamina every time you deal damage to light or heavy attack on an enemy with a negative effect on them, which they'll almost always have either through our Pierce Armor or our Minor Man from our Shade. On our back bar, we are running Aggressive Warhorn as per usual. Key thing about it, upping our team's damage, giving everyone a 10% increase to max magicka and stamina, which also is a damage increase a lot of people forget about. We're running Inner Fire on our back bars, a range taunt, just to help get the aggro on things that we need to. We're running Leeching Strikes to complement with the Incapacitating Strike for an extra 106 stamina recovery every time we light attack, as well as an additional burst of upwards of 4.2k stamina when the effect ends. Very helpful for our sustain in that manner. We're running Relentless Focus on our back bar, so that way we can have a whole minute duration of an additional 10% damage mitigation once we have our 5 stacks, and we can just occasionally use it to hit our 12k disease damage bow proc, healing us for 33% of damage. I have hit 33k pluses with this ability on this build. You do tons of damage with this, and it's fantastic for what it can do there. We're also running Endless Hail just to have the additional dot, as well as our means to apply our Crusher enchantment. And we have a Refreshing Path just for the additional major evasion, as well as the 1k per second heal for us and our allies in the area. In terms of the rest of our skills and the ones we want to have available, Killer's Blade's fine if you want, just to have an additional execute. We do run Lotus Fan though as one of our options for our flex spot, and main portion of that is when we do it to ambush. With this, all enemies that are hit by our dot receive minor vulnerability as well, making it so we can put a massive damage boost for our team in an AoE effect similar to Warden, except it will be an AoE. We have Mirage, which we can slot in for our flex for the additional 1.3k stamina, physical and spell resistance, as well as the 25% damage mitigation from the Major Evasion, my apologies. You can do Mark Target if you want, we don't necessarily need it though. On our Shadow passive, we want to have Bolstering Darkness ready as a potential defensive ultimate. We run Surprise Attack. If you ever are fighting a boss where you can hit from the side, you can give a 5% resistance reduction on the boss just by hitting them with this once every 10 seconds. So if you're in an off-tank position, you can slap it on, which this build excels at already just based off its design. And the rest of them we have covered here. Aspect of Terror can actually be really useful when it's morphed into Manifestation of Terror. With this, we'll be able to go ahead, and I'll demonstrate this for you real quick, but we'll be able to go ahead and essentially place down 2 different traps, one here, and we have another one right here, and when enemies step in it, it will fear them, up to 6 of them, for 4 seconds. Well, I believe it's for 4 seconds, let me rephrase on that. But yeah, for 4 seconds. So essentially, what it will do is it's like the Bone Totem, except it's twice the duration, and you can preemptively set these up to have enemies that you have pulled in be feared moments later, so that way you can root them in the place. It's amazing for that, and it's very underrated. Most people use the other one, but the other morph, but this is the morph to use. On our siphoning, the key things that we have is mainly from our leeching strikes and our power extraction, and of course our passive, so we get the extra 20 ultimate when it's procced, as well as the additional 8% magicka when we have it slotted. And we, of course, get our additional healing done by 3% for each siphoning ability we have slotted, so it helps out a lot with us healing ourselves. And whenever we cast it, we get a little extra ultimate too. And our Shadow passes, the reason why we have it split the way we do is because with our Shadow passives, we get an additional 15% health, stamina, and magicka recovery. And we also get a 16.5 second duration on our Major Resolve whenever we use our Dark Cloak, which is pretty much always. It's going to be one of our main skills. We want to focus on using it, so essentially every 16 seconds you need to cast it once to keep your Major Resolve up. Fairly easy because it's our main self-heal. And also we have a 6% increase to our maximum health just by having these abilities slotted. You can even slot the Shadow Ultimate, the Bolstering Darkness on the front bar for making this a 9% increase. That's almost the same as you'd get on Minor Toughness, so it's an amazing thing to have. And the duration of non-shadow abilities is increased by 2 seconds, which is very helpful for our shade and all among other things. Including our Dark Cloak, actually. So, that's what boosts it up to 8 seconds. The next thing we want to go over is a one-hand shield. Of course, we do have Heroic Slash as an option if you don't want to use Shade. I think Shade's better just because it's AoE and you can do it from a distance as well, which helps a lot. Absorb Missile if you like it. Some people do. I'm not a big fan. But Absorb Missile is definitely a great skill to have just as it's a damage shield, and it will help out a lot in very, very many areas. And of course, we want to make sure we have all of our passives for one-handed shield to make sure we have the cost reduction among other things. For our bow setup, we want to have our Endless Hail and Venom Arrow so we can have an interrupt if we need it, along with all the bow passes as they can give us additional crit, and it plays into the sets which we'll go over soon, as well as the extra major expedition when we dodge roll. Next thing we have is we're just all in heavy armor, so we want everything in heavy armor. We don't need armor points into anything else. We're doing all heavy. And for vampirism, the key things we need is the supernatural recovery, undeath, unnatural resistance, and dark stalker. Those are key things that'll help out a lot with this build. And of course, with Fighters Guild, we have Silver Leash for our chain pull if we need to swap it in, as well as intimidating presence. You will just we'll replace power extraction with this if you need it. The other thing is with our Undaunted, which we will actually demonstrate. You'll want to morph this to your mag morph, so we're going to keep this here. Actually, I would actually do the stamina morph. We have a ton of stamina on this build. Just off instinct, go for mag, but nope. We want to do stamina on this. And of course, we have both Undaunted passives just to give us a bunch of resources. And of course, our Resolving Vigor, which is one of our main heals, which will demonstrate its power in a second. We are a Nord, so of course, we're going to want all of our Nord passives. And for alchemy, we want to have the medicinal use ×3, just to help out with our potions there. The last thing is with our gear, what we are running is we are running a back bar Reliquin, perfected Reliquin to be exact. And this is where the build gets really weird. The thing that we chose to run perfected Reliquin was for is it's a nice damage boost in a lot of situations. You can even do more damage for the group than if you were to wear Torx Pact, for example. Torx Pact only adds about a 1% damage increase as it gets rounded off. The nice thing about this is you can get about 5k DPS just off this alone, and not including your light attack DPS, you can easily get 7 to 8k just off of those alone. So this build, especially with its weapon damage, you get upwards of 3k, almost 4k with full buffs. So the damage output on this build is really high. I had hit a 20k parse on Rakot just by light attacking and using basic skills, not even trying to push it. This build is very, very, very powerful with this. And of course, it's an infused bow on the back bar, so if we have to do a ranged kite on Zamaja, for example, and VCR execute, we can keep pricking her with those bow procs, keeping our regeneration going and our stamina magicka regeneration from siphoning and incapacitating strike. That way we can keep doing a ton of damage while boosting our own sustain as well. We are also using a one-handed weapon. Doesn't matter if it's an axe, dagger, or mace. It's a one-hand shield, but it's Nirnhoned. We want to do Nirnhoned for the additional weapon and spell damage. And a reinforced or sturdy shield. We are running one-piece Malakina with a prismatic defense glyph. Ideally you'd want the sturdy, but divines is fine as well. We are also running a perfected claw of Yolnacrin, and ideally we want it all sturdy, but we have a prismatic defense on the chest. We have a healthy on the shoulder of Veladrith, which is sturdy, and we have of course healthy belts, healthy gloves, prismatic pants, and healthy boots. The other thing is with our jewelry, we're keeping the Reliquant at robust, but we're putting weapon damage glyphs on it to really boost our vigor. And real quick, I'm going to go show you what that kind of is to look like. So if we just put in our normal things, let's drop our repression path because that's part of our heals. As soon as we hit the ground, we have our heals up. No time at all. We're pretty much right back up. The HPS on this is insane, and it's going to benefit you a lot. And the final thing we need to cover is our champion points, which with our champion points, we are running 28 into Warlord, 21 into Sprinter, 25 into Bashing Focus. We are running 56 Tenacity with 23 Arcanist, as Magicka Recovery is not our primary focus, and we're going to get a lot more of our light attack weaving. Light attacking and just weaving that in on this tank is a massive benefit to you. It's really incentivized, and that's why we're wearing Reliquant, which you could swap out for Alkosh for AoE fights, but for single target, you're going to do really good and as an off tank just having Reliquant. Next we're running 61 points into Shadow Ward as well as 56 into Tumbling. And in our blue CP we have 56 Blessed, 23 Physical Weapon Expert as that does buff our bow damage and our light attack weave, 40 points into Master at Arms for the same reason, 34 points into Thaumaturge for our dots, primarily coming from our Endless Hail, 37 points into our Precise Strikes, mainly so that way we can use our Vigor Heal, get those nice juicy crits off of that, 43 points into Piercing just to increase our damage that much further, and 37 points into Mighty. And we are running 56 into Ironclad, 23 Spell Shields, 56 Hardy, 56 Elemental Defender, 56 Thick-Skinned, and 23 Heavy Armor Focus. This is the nice diverse way I like to do it, so that way it's a in general build. You could use this in multitudes of raids, you could adjust it if you want to, but this is your default base for any content is going to be this. But outside of that though, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been a massive thing, and I've loved doing this build, seeing the utility that Nightblade has. I do plan on taking this forward to do Unchained with Nightblade as well as Necro tanks. So do look forward to see that in the future. Necromancer tank has been one of my favorite to really mess around with, and I want to push to get a new build out for Nightblade as well in the future to really push and optimize what utility the classes have, as I feel like a lot of people really underrate the value of your tanks. Always take the time to study your classes and learn what they have going for them. Each tank has many benefits that a lot of people do not take to their full advantage. Outside of that though, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear you guys' feedback as well as hear the changes between the two microphones between this and the last video. I do have two different mics. I just haven't been able to decide which one I like more. If you guys have any thoughts though, please let me know. It really does help out with deciding these types of factors. Outside of that though, I hope you guys have a lovely day. Talk to you soon.